Hey guys, making a video. Jesus wants me to make a video about my testimony, or just kind of just explain who I am. And he knows I hate doing this. I don't like talking about myself. I'm a pretty private person, but I do whatever he tells me to do, whether it's comfortable or not. So, I don't know. I consider myself pretty not special. I'm just a normal guy. I was born in Mexico. Um, my mom had, I think, like 10 brothers and sisters, or 12. It was a big family on both my mom and dad's side, so there was a lot of nephews. Um, it was awesome being with a lot of cousins, a lot of family in Mexico. I was that blonde little boy that everybody thought was pretty cool, even though there's a lot of light-skinned people in Mexico. But I just have some really good memories of my grandma and my grandpa. My grandpa was an alcoholic, but whenever I was around, he would quit drinking. But I just have really good memories of my grandpa and my grandma. She was such a good, godly woman. And I remember every time I looked for a woman, I always wanted to find a woman like her. But at the age of 5, my dad came to the United States to start a life for us, and my mom and me stayed back. I was the firstborn. So he came here, and then we ended up meeting him in the United States. I was born in '81, so around 5 or 6 years old. So we went there, and they pretty much smuggled. We had to go. I have PTSD from it. I remember we had to go across the border, and they told me to say I was American because I looked like a little white boy. And so we go in this vehicle, and as we're crossing, the guard or whatever, the border patrol asked me, American citizen. I was supposed to say yes. I didn't know a lick of English, but I was like, yes, and they looked at me all kind of weird. They looked at my parents. My mom was light skinned. My dad was just from working so much, he was dark skinned. And they looked at me again, and they're like, yeah, we're going to take him. So they took me from my parents, and they thought that my parents stole me, or were they thought I was American, and they stole me. It was all a big hassle. They kept me across. And then my uncle, somehow, I don't know, I was like 5 or 6, I don't remember too much, but he was able to grab me and take me over. And I remember he bought me a burger from Burger King, and that just made my day all better. I was super happy. Just give me a little bit of food, and it makes me happy. But finally, I was reunited with my parents, and childhood was a little tough for me. I have a lot of trauma from being a kid. My mom did the best she could, but we never had a good relationship. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of, I don't know. It was just not a good. Never really had a friendship with them. My dad was an amazing guy. He was always working, trying to provide, and my mom was doing the best she could, but there was just never that friendship. It was just a lot of animosity. I have a younger brother, younger sister. I love them very much. They don't really know the Lord. So my mom, we grew up going to church, to Alabanza, it's called, to the Mexican church, doing the praises. And then, the pastor was really, really passionate. He'd finish like sweating. His shirt was sweating because he'd screaming the whole time. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved doing worship as a little boy. Even though I hated going. But anyways, so I knew the Lord from young age. Didn't really know him, but I knew of him. But like I said, my childhood was pretty tough when it comes to just the relationship I had with my mother, because she was the main caretaker, because my dad was working all the time. And sorry guys, I got something in my I was never one to hang out with a bunch of people. I always had a very private guy. I always liked to keep, have 1 or 2 really close best friends, and just kind of be kind of goofy and just, know everybody, right? Kind of a social butterfly a little bit. But as I was growing older in high school, I got expelled the first day out of high school because I got in a fight. And then Jesus always, now looking back, I could always remember Jesus was always with me. Even though I didn't have a really, like, a close relationship with him, I always knew he was there. I always knew of him. And looking back, he always kept me away from crowds that were bad for me, Whenever I started getting near people that were probably troublemakers or causing issues, something always happened to get me away from those people. And I just knew, I knew deep inside that I was kind of a risk taker and like just to not think too hard and just do things. And I always knew deep inside there was somebody taking care of me. There was something. I should have been dead many, many times. But in my, I saw some things. I don't want to go into detail, but I saw some things when I was young that just brought a lot of confusion in my life. But thank God, he shielded me from those things, and I was able to always get back on track with the Lord, or not even with the Lord, with just not doing really stupid things all the time. And then when I turned 17 or 18, I just wanted to get out of the house. I was tired of screaming. I just wanted to leave. So I tried going to university for, I had good grades. I got a scholarship and everything for university. I went there for about almost a year. I hated it. I didn't like to be told what to do. I didn't like going to school. I knew there was something. So God put it in my heart to join the Marines. And I remember I went to the recruiter, and he's like, they can't do this now, but he's like, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to go camping. I want to go hiking. I want to, just do cool stuff and travel. He's like, camping, hiking, perfect. Infantry's for you. I was like, yes, what is it? I'll take it, and so I joined the Marine Corps because I knew that was the toughest, right? I joined the Marine Corps Infantry, and I ended up being an 0351, which is an anti-tank assaultment. That was an infantry weapons platoon, and 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines in North Carolina. So, I joined in 99, 2000. 2002 is when the war started. September 11th, we were in Kosovo. We got fired at from the Albanian side, I believe. It was just all went haywire. I just remember always knowing that the Lord was always with me during these times, even though once again I didn't have a deep relationship with Him. There was so many nights and things that we did that I just knew God was there, and like I said, I really feel like I should have been dead many times. Went to war. I know a lot of you guys are disputing that, and that's pretty sad, but saw combat, and there was many times I really should have not have made it. I remember the one time it was, I believe it was Easter. I believe it was around my birthday. I believe it was April. I think it was April. Anyway, so it's a long time ago, guys. It was in 2002, But I remember the chaplain. We were we dug in and we were waiting, and there was a chaplain that was walking through, and he went to us, and me and my best friend Leland. Jesus always put one person in my life that was a good influence with me. He's such a good man. But we were just so tight. We're best friends. We're still best friends till now, 20 something years later. And we were there together, and the chaplain came up to us and he blessed us, right? We're like, cool. Yes, I don't know what that means, but we're good. And I remember shortly after that, I'm not sure. I don't remember if it was an RPG or it was a mortar. I believe it was a mortar. Somebody started no, I believe it's an RPG now. Anyway, sorry guys. It's hard to. There's a lot of things I don't remember from back then. I do have TBI as well. But I remember a mortar or RPG just started incoming, and we heard it coming, and it landed. It was that day the chaplain just walked around, and that mortar fell like maybe 5 or 6 meters away from me, and it just went thump right in the ground. Half of it was sticking out of the ground, and we were just in complete amazement that it did not blow up. And I remember asking the Lord about that later, and he said that he deflected that bomb away from me because it would have blown up my leg. So there was just many moments that I know Jesus was right there just taking care of me. And I didn't know why. I didn't know. I just knew that there was something. Once again, I don't like to, I'm a very private guy, so this is uncomfortable for me to talk about myself. But something Jesus did want to talk to me about is, I've always wanted to have a relationship, to meet somebody and get married and all this stuff. I consider that so beautiful, right? And the Lord gave me a taste of that when I was 20. I met a girl who I completely had head over heels over, and later the Lord revealed that He was giving me a taste of what I would be getting once I met Mandy, my soulmate. But I remember I fell in love with her pretty hard, and for 20 years after that, nobody compared. Like, I could not fall in love with anybody. I could not, nothing. It messed me up pretty bad. I didn't know why I met somebody, and no matter how good I tried to be, no matter how much I tried to grow into such a good man, I kept trying, even though I had a lot of faults, right? But I was like, I want a woman. I want a good woman, so I have to be a good man. But the devil was after me. I didn't know, but he was just after me with alcohol, just chasing me down with alcohol, with the lust of the flesh as well. See, I'm getting lost. I'm getting all over the place here. So basically, just growing up from my 20s to my 40s, I always I started some businesses, and I was always an entrepreneur. Kind of want to do my own thing. Failed at things and lost money. I started the stock market. I lost a lot of money when I started. Remember, I started focusing on the Lord, and I just kind of lost my focus when I was older, and I started just kind of focusing on the markets and on the stock market, and I remember He humbled me very quickly. I lost about 80 grand very quickly, and I remember that put me in focus again to start searching for the Lord. But once again, to go back a little bit, the devil was after me for a long time, but I always felt that Jesus was right there, that God was right there with me, and I never thought there's nothing. I just, all I knew was that once I started forming a relationship with Jesus, all I knew is I loved him so much, and I knew how flawed I was, but I just knew I loved him. And I always said, Lord, I'd do anything for you. I'd do anything for you. I'd do anything for you. And I never thought he had any plans for me. I just wanted to go to heaven and be with him. So basically, fast forward, a lot of drinking. I went to rehab 3 times, a total of 3 times. Every time I went to rehab, I got back into the Word, got back into having a relationship with the Lord, because I thought I was going to die. I was having issues with alcohol, having issues with PTSD, and having actually a lot of issues, a lot of trauma from my childhood. So when I was in rehab, I was actually talking to the therapist more about, even though there was a lot of stuff I went through in combat, I was talking to my therapist more about trauma I had as a kid. And because of that trauma, I was always very focused on learning about myself and who I was and how I can better my personality, better who I was, because I wanted to attract good people. To be a good person, you have to, to attract good people, you want to be a good person yourself. So I knew that deep inside, that Jesus put it in my heart to just, to be more introspective of who I was, you know, because it was, like I said, I have a lot of faults, and I had a lot of faults, and never once do if anything, I think I was completely broken, especially that second, third time I had to go to rehab. I'm like, Lord, please take this from me. And I was at 40 years old. I was going from woman to woman to woman, looking for love. I was confused. I'm like, why am I not finding a good woman out there? You know, like, I'm bettering myself. I'm quitting drinking. I'm quitting that. I'm trying so hard, and the Lord would not give me a woman unless He would not give me a woman that I've always wanted, except for that one when I was 20 for just a little brief taste of what it would be like. And finally, you know, I just completely submitted myself to the Lord. I said, Lord, please give me a wife, Father. I'm 40-something years old. I don't want to be sleeping around. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing that. I just want to focus on you, number one, and number two, and my wife, and just, you know, and grow and grow and grow and do it the right way, right, Lord? And finally, He did. He called me to marry the woman I was married to. I don't want to call her my ex-wife because she wanted an annulment. An annulment means that it was very hurtful. But an annulment is as if it never happened before. And you know, when Jesus called me to marry her, and once again, Jesus sometimes puts you with somebody to wake them up, to use you as a tool to help save them, you know. And I'm sure she won't agree to it now. She thinks I'm crazy. She thought I was insane because I was thinking about rapture. Jesus woke me up a few years ago that He was coming soon, you know. And anyway, so Jesus called me to marry her, and you know, we had some good times, you know. Once again, I've always wanted a close family. I'm Mexican, by the way, so my culture is so important to me. And I might look white. Well, I got a tan now, but I've always gotten so close to my culture, and family is such a big thing in my Mexican culture. So I've always wanted like a big family, but our family was very broken. You know, we had the divorce. My dad became a woman when I was 30 years old, which really, really messed me up because I love my dad. He still has such a good soul, but you know, the devil got a good grip on him, and he became transgendered, and that didn't help me at all. My mom, me and her don't have a relationship anymore. She doesn't really speak to me because we just never really had a relationship. I still love my mom very much. I forgive her. But I've always wanted a family. That's what I wanted, a family that I can love, I can just make laugh, I can just treat with I always knew I had a lot of love inside of me, you know, but I just never had nobody to share it with. So he finally introduced me to this woman, and, you know, I did. I love her, and I loved her. And I knew to treat her the way Jesus treats His bride, the way He wants us to treat our wives, right? And I really tried. I did. And I genuinely love her and loved her family so much because she had a huge family. And it was everything I've always dreamt of. You know, I called her mother my mom because I felt like I lost my mom. So I was like, finally, Lord, thank you. You gave me a mother, you know. And pretty shortly after that, I was given the choice by her and her family, which is either seek help for this rapture theology. You know, Jesus took your addiction from alcohol, and now you have an addiction to rapture. And it wasn't that. I was just not living for the world anymore. And when you don't live for the world anymore, people look at you like you're crazy. Like, why are you wasting your life? You're better than this. God has so many bigger things for you than to be stuck on the rapture and things that are dark, like, you know, the tribulation and stuff. And this was coming from somebody who was, you know, Christian, right? So I was given the choice, and I said from the very beginning, I told my, just to call it then wife, I told her, I said, hey, I said, it's always going to be God first. Jesus always comes number one, and number two is you, every time, and hopefully we can always be in the same place, because if Jesus comes number one for you, for both of us, then we're good, we're golden, right? So shortly after that, I was given a choice. Either she said, go get help for your rapture obsession and your false prophets and your rapture obsession, or you lose us. And it wasn't even a choice for me. I just can't. I can't have that choice, because I asked the Lord a long time ago. I said, Lord, let your will be my will, Lord. I don't want a will, because God gives us free choice to choose whatever we want to choose, because that's true love, right? If he doesn't force us into things, he literally gives us a choice over and over and over again. And God has always been giving me choices all my life, and inside of me, I've always had so much reverence for the Lord. When I had a choice, most of the time, obviously when, my addiction and all that stuff, but when I felt like I had a choice, I always try to pick the Lord, and when I was given that choice, I said, easy, Jesus, and boom, they were gone. They were out of my life, and it was, I've never been hurt like that before. It really broke me more than I've ever been broken before, because when you truly love somebody and you truly give your all, and you're giving your all through Christ, because Christ is through you, right? And you're loving somebody through Christ, and that, you're throwing away like that, it kills you, right? But that was my choice, and I chose Jesus, and not for anything, not for blessings, I didn't know I was going to be put in this spotlight here. I had no idea. I'm not enjoying being in the spotlight. I don't enjoy, making videos and having, being spoken about so horribly. I hate it, but, if God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it, and so that choice was made, and, it was easy for me to make the choice, and 50, 60, 70, 80 days later, I was in my house by myself, solitude. But early in that month that my then wife decided, she's like, I'm not coming home until you get help. Like, I'm leaving, I'm gone. I was left for myself. I was in my home in solitude. And the Lord is so good. He brought me McKenna. I feel like God has spoiled me so much. He's brought the most amazing people in my life. I was never a guy to hang out with a bunch of guys. When there was football games, I don't even watch football. I was always in the back in the kitchen, hanging out with the women, talking about recipes, about cooking and stuff. I was never want to hang out with a bunch of guys, right? So God has really spoiled me. He's brought me such amazing, amazing women, like Jess, McKenna, Cassie, Mandy, of course. So he brought me McKenna, and we just clicked, and we started working together, and just kind of like Jesus was just, I'm getting the Holy Spirit right now. Jesus was working through both of us, and I remember McKenna was starting getting her gifts that were coming, like just with numbers, and it was really cool seeing God work through both of us at the same time. And McKenna helped me through those times where I was just so distraught, so lonely. He gave me a friend, a true sister to confide in and talk to, and just be there, because once again, I thought I was going to be in the wilderness for 40 days. I'm like, all right. I'm like, this sucks. This is horrible. I'm brokenhearted. This is the worst, but I'm like, 40 days. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days, right? 20 days go on, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, 7. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This is not normal. And, you know, I didn't go out dating or anything. I wasn't going to go back to who I used to be, right? There was no way. Jesus, you know, had saved me. He truly was working from the inside out, but it took a while for me, you know. Like I said, I was a very broken man, and Jesus was working on me, working on me, working on me. But once again, I'm still mind blown about all this, guys. I'm not worthy at all. And he brought me into where we're at now, and he introduced me to my soulmate, Mandy, you know, and I love her so much. You know, I've always dreamt of a woman that truly didn't just profess with her mouth, but really, really lived and showed her fruits, right? Lived the way she is. You know, there's so many people going against her, and for some reason, I was always the type of guy that I would always cheer for the person. I would always be gravitated to the person that people would be throwing rocks to or being laughing at or mocking, because I always knew to go the opposite way from what people were doing. So I did not know that I was gonna be, you know, the first Adam to the New Jerusalem. Once again, this is all mind blowing to me. And I remember I asked Jesus, "Why, Lord? Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just this person." You know, he said, "Why not? You've given up everything for me." And you know, if I start looking back in my life, all the struggles I had, all the times that, once again, you guys got to think about it. For all I wanted was love. All I wanted was to be married. All I wanted was to get out of my dating woman after woman after woman, just serve the Lord. But he never allowed me to have a woman, and there was a lot of things that went bad, and I never once blamed the Lord. I never once got angry at the Lord. I never once cursed at him, or nothing like that. I've always had a deep reverence for the Lord. So, you know, when I hear all these people that don't even know me speak these things about me, they have no idea what my heart is. They have no idea, and that's okay. I forgive you guys. Once again, my old self wouldn't forgive you. My old self would go back in the Marine mode, but Jesus truly has given me a heart of flesh, and I'm able to give that forgiveness. I'm able to truly love my enemy, you know, truly love even the people that are saying such horrible things. I look at them maybe, you know, as if when they were children. God loves you, you know, he loves you all. We're all children of the Lord, you know, and well, we become children of the Lord when we truly give our hearts to him. But he loves us all. Really, he made us all. He died for all of us equally, right? So anyway, I'm still mind blown on what's going on, guys. The Lord is moving. The Lord is working. I wish you guys truly knew who I was. I literally wake up and I thank the Lord. I pray to him. I ask, Lord, if it's not you, please let me know. You know, I don't portray to be this person here and somebody else off this phone thing. I really have complete reverence for the Lord, and I am being honest. I have been a broken person. I haven't been a good person all the time. You know, the Lord has truly been working on me for a long time, and it's because I've allowed him to. I wanted to just serve him. I didn't know it was going to be this capacity, but it is. And you know, I met Mandy, and it's funny because she has that personality I've always wanted in somebody. She's so humble and she's so soft in the way she speaks. I don't know how you guys don't see it, but you know, she's getting torn apart by some of y'all, and she cries at night, you know, sometimes. But man, her heart is so sweet, and she's so soft spoken. And when you hear her go on camera, it's not fake. She's really those are her fruits, man. She really does love everybody. And I've always wanted a woman like that. And she's like that because she has such reverence for the Lord. when the Lord tells her to turn her cheek, you know, she does. And that means Jesus turned his cheek too, because when he died for our sins, when he turns that cheek, he doesn't see your sin anymore. He sees, you know, who you truly are. And that's what we're trying to do as well. So every day I try to be more and more like Jesus. You know, I think we all are trying to be more and more like Jesus. That's the goal, right? And, you know, we all fall short. But never once do I think that my salvation is gone, because he died on the cross for us. You know, he paid the ultimate price. And I'm not the first. I'll be the first one to say he's been working on me for a long time. I mean, you asked me 4, 5, 6 months ago, if you asked me once saved, always saved, I'll be like, nope, don't believe it. You gotta, you know, you still gotta, you know, work hard and like not sin and all this stuff. And I remember when Jesus spoke that through Mandy about once saved, always saved, and at first my flesh wanted to be like, nope. But as soon as I heard because I knew that was Jesus speaking through her, I was like, okay, then once saved, always saved it is. And you know, I've always been very open to rebuke. I tell the Lord, rebuke me, Lord, if I'm doing wrong. Teach me, correct me, Lord. Please, Father, am I doing right? Is my heart posture in the right place? Is, you know, correct me. I don't care if it doesn't feel good. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for 31 minutes. It's a long time. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I met Mandy, and, you know, things have just been so supernatural. And we have, you know, we've already talked about it, but we did align the planets, and I know it sounds crazy. It was crazy to me at first, but, you know, you speak things in the way God spoke the world into existence, you know, and God follows a process with things, and he's unsealed Daniel 12, and it's things that are pretty mind-blowing. But hey, I'm never one to put God in a box. He's the one that created everything. I have too much reverence for me to be like, nope, this is what God wanted. You know, once again, I go to God every day and ask him, Lord, if this is not you, please reveal it to me, Lord. And he does the opposite. Every day he shows me it's him. Because once again, I would never want to piss him off. I am so scared of the Lord, guys. But this was my life. Let me think if there's anything else that I'm missing here. I don't think so. I just pray the Holy Spirit for me to talk. I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing, guys, but this is the Holy Spirit speaking through me. So I love you guys. God bless you. God bless everybody. And, you know, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, just before you start thinking it's adultery, before you start thinking it's this, or thinking it's sad, or just joining the crowd and insulting all of us, truly put your heart down and go to the Lord. But once again, if you have this attitude where you're just trying to prove me wrong, or you just have a wrong type of stance in your heart, God's not going to show you anything. But if you do humble yourself, which I have many times before, to show me the truth, he will show you the truth. You know, God is light. There's no darkness in him. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. If you listened through the whole way through, I really appreciate it. I love you, and God bless. Bye-bye.